Men. Welcome to Brook. As always, it's a pleasure to have you. This is Brook on Ushirikatv. My name is Pastor Kim, your host. And today, men, we are going mental. Literally, we are going mental. We are discussing mental health on our program today and next week. And today, I am joined by a very wonderful guest. Not a man, a lady, to talk about men and mental issues, men and depression. And so, ningependa ajitambulishe tumjue. Karibu sana Mavlin to this show.
Yeah.
You can say your name and more about you, and then we proceed.
Wow. Okay, thank you so much for having me here. My name is Mavlin Nyokabi Mbogwa, and I'm a counselor by profession. That's what I do every single day of my life. Been a counselor for the last 13 years.
Wow.
Been working with adults for like 10 years. Now working with children. So been in people's mental life for so long. So that's what I do, and I love what I do.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you. Karibu sana. Today we are talking about men and mental issues, men and depression. And I watched a show that was done like 2 years ago on BBC. And I saw in a certain village in Kenya, highlighted in a village in Kenya, representing what is happening with the men in the community. In that particular time, there were like 70 suicides in one village in Kenya, in one county. And the saddest part was, the commentator was saying, by the time we were covering this, we were called and another incident had happened. And as much as it was a year or so ago, this has been the talk everywhere. As late as this week, we've had a mental issue of a homicide, a cop killing a girlfriend, and all these Mavlin are mental issues. And the saddest part is 90% of those affected are men. So today, as we discuss men and mental health, maybe we can start by defining what is mental health.
Wow. Wow. Now, mental health, it's actually, it basically means you're mentally healthy, in the sense that you have the ability to be able to cope with your own stresses and still be able to perform your duties. And when your stresses come as an individual, because I think every day we face a challenge as a human being, whether male or female. And so mental health is the ability of a man to be able to face his challenges and still be able to give to the community and still be able to function as norm. It doesn't matter the degree of the stress. It doesn't matter the time it takes. It doesn't matter the intervals of the stresses. They should be able to still go through that and still be able to give back to the community and still be normal at the end of it all.
Oh, okay.
That is just being mentally healthy.
Mentally healthy.
Yes.
Okay. There's something you mentioned there that I want us to highlight a bit. You are saying that they need to cope and perform amidst the challenges. And you've been a counselor for some time, dealt with adults, dealt with suicidal issues. What are some of the issues that you've seen men are not able to cope with? Some of the challenges that are coming to men and they are not able to cope with?
It's not even that they're not able to cope with. Is mental health is individualized. We can't say men, when this kind of stress comes, they cannot be able to handle it. It is an individual person, an individual man, where he goes through, let's say, for example, a breakup in marriage. And if we have two examples of two men, one breaks up, both of them have an issue in their marriages. There's one who that stress will be too much for them and mess up their mental health. There's one who will be able to know what to do about it, and as much as it will stress him, still be able to still function even after that. So it is not what men face. It is an individual man and that specific stress. Yes.
We've talked about marriages, and I think from different shows that we've done, it's been seen as a major stressor. Which other stressors have identified, especially, okay, I understand it's not to a specific man, but generally speaking, some of the stressors that men are facing that one might be able to handle, another might not be able to handle?
The other key thing, apart from relationships, marriage and all that, is a man failing to provide.
Okay.
You know, as a man, not that I'm one, but from what I know, they are meant and they are taught to provide. That is what they identify themselves as, being a man.
Yeah.
And so when they fail to do that, so that is financial constraints.
Financial
when
constraints,
this man loses a job or is not able to meet his standards as a man, is one thing that really throws them off.
Wow.
That is one. The other thing that I've realized that affects actually both men and women is the trauma you go through as a child. So you grow up in maybe a dysfunctional family, that we go back again to marriages.
Yeah.
You go back to a dysfunctional family, or you grow up in a family where a father wasn't there, or a father was too cruel. So this man grows up with that pain of not because when you do that to a child, from what now I know, it destabilizes them completely.
Wow. Wow.
So this child will go through school, this child will go through the norms of life, but there's a part of them that is not whole.
Yeah.
So when this man now grows, he has that, can we say, disability? Because it wasn't done well. A father wasn't there. A father was cruel. A father the marriage was dysfunctional. The father was cruel to the parent. And this was a boy growing up. Because from now, what you know, Pastor Kim, is that as you grow up as a man and become a husband, you will only emulate what you saw. Growing up. So this man has grown up and all he saw was dysfunction. So what is he becoming? And it's a cause of stress in this person.
Wow.
They have a marriage here, they have someone who loves them, they are even starting to have children, but he doesn't really know what it means to be a husband.
Wow.
And that is a big stress.
Wow.
Yes.
Past issues,
yes,
upbringing,
yes,
the way you encultured, all those things. Wow. I know we'll be getting back to the major causes of depression and mental health, but that's very key. Before we transition to that, maybe Mavlin, you can tell us, what are some of the signs? Sometimes we all look well in ties, and then you hear someone jumped off the building, someone committed suicide, and we were laughing with them.
Yes.
Sadly, where I come from, 2 or 3 weeks ago, a young man committed suicide in a very horrible way.
Wow.
Very horrible. Incidentally, he was laughing and he was okay. Then 10 minutes later, he's dead.
Wow.
So sometimes we all look well. Men, we are laughing, everything. What's happening? I'm sure Mavlin umesikia watu wakisema, 2 things men do. Ukimuuliza kitu, what are you thinking about? Nothing.
Yes.
How are you? Men are we are thinking of nothing. But what are some of the signs that we can help identify our friends, even ourselves, that maybe I'm not in the best route, maybe there's something happening? Yeah.
Now, before even we get to the signs, I want to mention 2 things. Yes. This is what I learned through my journey as a counselor. We say this, that men do not attempt suicide. They commit.
Wow.
An example we're given is there's a man who hanged himself on a tree, and it was so difficult for people to get him out of that because the tree was so high.
Wow.
It actually took the tree being cut down. That is how much. And the way you're saying, the person you're talking about committed in a horrible. I know even of a young man who came where his friends were, bought a soda, shared with all of them, then went to the house and committed suicide. You know, they hang themselves with scarves, they hang with themselves with phone chargers. You know, they commit. We make fun and we say, ladies attempt. In the midst of dying, they scream and they get help, and you know.
Maybe that's why statistics are high, because you only talk of men who are successful in suicide,
exactly,
than the ladies who attempt.
Which is so unfortunate. So, yes. The other thing I wanted to say now, when we get to signs of depression, you know, I must say this, that depression is a destination. You don't wake up depressed.
Wow.
It is a journey you get to. So as stress begins, like we've mentioned, you know, this marriage is not working. So this man starts feeling, okay, I'm failing. I'm sad. It is not working out. This is not what I expected. My expectations are being thwarted. This is not what I wanted. And slowly by slowly, he's not being able to overcome that pain and that frustration. Now he gets to a place where he cannot come back.
Wow.
Now that's depression.
That's depression.
So when he's in this depression moment, he has lost a part of his coordination. So the norm, as much as we'll see you having tea with us and laughing, there are still some things that are off. So now that's where we get to the signs.
Okay, yes.
Number 1 sign is this person loses, imagine, very simple, they lose appetite.
Oh no.
Or they gain appetite. I meet you 3 weeks later from today and I'm wondering, okay, what happened to you? You've eaten, you are all over.
I'm one of those, when I'm stressed, I eat. Not depressed. When I'm stressed, I eat. So if I get to depression, maybe I'll be on that side. Yeah.
The kind of appetite here we are talking about, because it can either go high or low, is the one that this particular person doesn't control. So they eat, and then they eat after they've eaten. Then now they eat.
And they eat again.
You know? And they know, yes, they are conscious about it, but they feel this is the most comforting thing. This food that I'm eating cannot judge me.
It's eating for comfort.
Yes, cannot tell me stop, cannot tell me I'm a failure, so I'll keep it. Or they say, you know what, I'm so useless. I don't deserve even food.
Oh, no.
So they lose appetite completely. You even tell them to eat them. In their own subconscious mind, they're wondering, for what?
For what?
I'm so good for nothing. Why did I even deserve food? Now, that is a sign.
Okay.
I'm not talking about those people who decide, I'm dieting. No. That's because they have stress. It is that one where you actually realize now there's a problem. They are adding weight too much, and it is not making them feel... You know, if you start adding weight, you'll start saying, hey, but let me do something. But these ones, they just go completely. That is one sign. Number two, they feel sad. Now, this is a man. They are forever sad. They are tearful.
Oh, no.
As in, this is a man I know very well. Okay, you're wondering, why are you tearing up? Anytime he wants to talk about... Yes, he might even be laughing, but you look at him, you realize there's something off. You are not yourself. You are not, you know. So tearing up, they are very low. Then they have a sense of guilt.
Oh.
You know, they keep on apologizing. They keep on saying, oh, I'm so sorry. You're even wondering, I did not even ask you. We're not even accusing you. They just have a sense of guilt. So this is in one person.
Wow.
The third thing is that they lose interest. Now, this is very key. And I think maybe we should, that is one sign if we really have a man in the house. Maybe this man loved to do golfing. Or this man loved to go with his children to something. Over a sudden, he's lost interest in that.
An extrovert has become an introvert.
Yes. This person used to love entertaining. You know, every Sunday he tells the wife, cook, let's have visitors. My brothers are... Over a sudden, telling people are coming over, he doesn't even want to leave the room. So they lose interest in what used to interest them. Or they lose interest in what they used to love to do. The things he used to love. Do you know someone can even lose interest in going to work?
Wow.
So this person wakes up and tells you, I don't feel like working. You're wondering, boss, you need to work.
Oh, no.
They lose, and maybe this is a job they would go and enjoy and come back and take. Exactly. So once you start noticing this man no longer has interest in this. They used to be very involved in church. You know, they would love to, they used to sing in the choir. Saizi hataki mambo ya choir, anaona kwanza choir, hataki hata hiyo church. They start losing interest in the things they loved. That's a sign of depression. Yes. And then the other thing is that they feel agitated and tired. Anything small. These are the people who you call and they tell you what? And you're wondering, okay, I was just calling
to say into the house, hit the cat, hit everything.
Everything is wrong. You banged the door because you're not loyal to me. You know, you are cooking and then I forgot tea poured. You're doing this to sabotage me. You know, you're even wondering, oh, okay, this has nothing to do with you. So they get so agitated over nothing. They are so irritable. They are driving. Maybe there's another thing maybe women need to look out. So your man is driving this car, you're going to church, and a matatu, as Nairobi just cuts you. He stops the car. Oh no. Gets out of the car, pulls the matatu man out, and this is a pastor. Or
and maybe he was a calm guy. He used to say, "Bless you, bless you."
You know, you just say, "All of a sudden, he's so mad." He comes back to the car. You want to ask him what, and even you, he wants to tear you into pieces. You know. Because they are so irritable. It's a sign of depression. And some of them, now the key thing here to note is they are conscious of what they are doing, but they cannot control it. Oh, no. Now that's the difference. You know, there are these people who do that, then in the evening they say, that thing I did was very wrong. These ones don't have that moment because it's depression. They have gone to a place where they can't come back. Yes. Then the other thing, now this is the last thing, they have trouble concentrating. You can actually sit with him watching news. And for sure, mumekaa, munaona Azimio, you know, and he's not really following. He's
off. His mind has wandered.
not even to think about something else. He's just zoned out.
Oh no.
So they've lost concentration. You can even sit, and I've seen this in a lot of marriages. A wife comes and says, "Hani skiangi, tulipanga asubuhi naamka, yeah, ameenda there." So the wife is going, "Okay, is it that you do?"
Kumbe the guy
just
is in depression.
Yes.
Wow.
Yes.
Thanks, Mavleen. Wow. Men. Today we have Mavleen in the house, and I tell you, we'll be right back after this break as we discuss on the causes of depression. But I believe in this first part, you've been able to hear some of the signs you can see, and I tell you, do not touch that dial. Concentrate. Be there. We'll be right back.
Wow.
Thank you. And welcome back to Brook. This is Pastor Kim, and today we have our wonderful guest, Mavleen. Hey, ametupatia maneno, tumesikia ni kama one of us, ni kama a host. Thank you, Mavleen.
Yes.
Before the break, we discussed about mental health. We are talking about mental health. We talked about what mental health is. We talked about some of the signs of mental health, and then we took the break. And before we go back, Mavleen, I've heard people say that the way they've discovered someone is in depression is also on their, I know we are doing men and lifestyle on Brook, and you're talking about even basic personal hygiene and grooming. And some of the way that you discover that actually this man, he was a neat guy, and then all of a sudden, hataki kwenda shower, nywele, ndevu, usafi imepotea.
Yes.
What is it something that is it something that is just not coordinating in the depression status, or what causes, or what is that?
This is what I'll tell you, Pastor Kim. Depression is a state of hopelessness. This person has lost so much hope because of the stress that they are going through, or they went through, or the trauma, you know. And now they have gotten to a place where they feel, and you see, hopelessness renders you, you start personally feeling as a man, I am of no use. I am so hopeless. I am not needed. In fact, that's the word.
Not needed.
If you read a lot of suicide notes, they say, nobody likes me, nobody wanted me, you know, so they feel so not needed. So this person wonders, what's the worth of me showering? I have a depression case we are working with, though it's a lady. She stopped showering, like this is Feb, this is March. She showered last in December.
Wow.
She comes to my office, yes, and we have to open all the windows, and, you know, because she even told me, why should I shower? So I told her, now be showering because you're coming to see me. Now she gets a meaning, she attaches it to a meaning.
Okay.
So it is that where they just feel, I am so useless, I am so unworthy. And then also, you know, mental health comes in with a lot of other things. So this person even gets scared. What if I shower and I don't make it? Why am I showering? You know? So it's a lot of things. Yeah. Okay. But that is also another sign. But I would say this, that is a sign that now this person has been declared clinically depressed.
Okay.
But we were looking at those things where you can identify in the house.
Yeah, okay.
Yes,
okay.
Yes.
Wow. I know next week we'll be discussing on how to improve mental health. And I think you've mentioned something that has resonated well, even as we go to the causes of depression. This person feels unworthy.
Yes.
So as they get to start feeling worthy again, they can slowly come back.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. So what causes all this? What causes depression and mental issues?
I had mentioned earlier on, and I said traumatic events that happens to someone, either when they are young, as they are growing up, which was major, and we talked about it. But there's one that I would want to mention, especially to the men, is a trauma they go through after a death.
Okay.
And you know, the other day I was telling someone, death is so huge in the sense that you can't negotiate with it, you can't postpone it, you can't tell it to come slowly. You know, it comes and takes place.
It has a finality.
Exactly. And even if you're prepared, I mean, you're never prepared after. You know, and that is one thing that I've seen affecting a lot of men. And I must mention this: men who lose their mothers at a young age, I think from my small experience, they tend to stop. So you find a man who is 40 years old, but the mom died when he was 16. He's 16. it's so traumatic because a mother is a foundation. I'm not talking this to be against fathers, but that's what I've seen. So those traumatic events, especially death, death happens, and a man is wondering, should I have done something? Or a man loses a child, and everyone is thinking, where were you? Did you take him to hospital? So this man starts thinking, did I take that baby to the wrong hospital? Could I have done something as a father? Am I the one? I'm giving. There's actually one who told me, I'm giving birth to children who die. Oh, no. And you see, I'm trying to help him see, death, it is not you who controls it. It's beyond us. But that is so traumatizing. Death is so traumatizing. So that is one cause of major depression.
On that, is it also the way men have been encultured to mourn, where ladies will go cry, talk, and they'll even have people encouraging them. You can cry, it's okay, cry. Men tunaambiwa we ndiye mwanaume usilie, people are looking at you, be a man. Is it also the way we react to death?
It is also our culture.
Our culture.
Actually, our biggest challenge is not even who has died or what death is. It is how we grieve that causes this. Because I remember, personally, I have a relative who died, and I remember a lady telling the son, sasa wewe ndo umebaki kama mzee. And this boy is thinking, I was just a boy. This guy has died, so be the kuwaje mzee, and just trying to put that into perspective. It is actually wrong to tell someone that. I was living my life, he was living his. Death has come, so why am I supposed to stop my life and start living his? It's actually unfair, our culture. Then the other thing, and the obvious one, is we don't expect you to cry. And even if you cry, don't cry like me. Just cry and get organized and be strong for us. That is very wrong.
There, come back and show direction.
Yeah, come, let's organize this thing and let's move on next week. No, this, as much as it has hit any other person, it has hit them that way. So I think that's the other issue, where we expect, again, too much from them. Yes. Yeah.
Any other cause of this?
Any other cause of death is, not death.
Depression,
Any other cause of depression is genes. Can you imagine? It can be genetic.
Wow.
So you have mental and brain chemistry that tends to go that side if it is stressed. So you find a family where, like I have an example of a family where two brothers have committed suicide over the years. Because when the stress is too much, their brain chemistry cannot take it. So they tend to go to the hopeless side very fast. This one, honestly speaking, there's nothing you can do. But immediately you notice there's that tendency of a very small issue, throwing them off immediately. You go for clinical help, medical help. That is where now we have antidepressants, which stabilize your moods and all that. And under this, we have diseases that is actually someone is born with, that is mental. So someone is born with bipolar, where you have, and bipolar simply means there is no balance of moods. You can either go up or completely down. Over, someone can get so excited about something and we are all wondering, and then also the same thing can really depress them to a level where they cannot even wake up the following. Yes. So that's bipolar. Again, medically controlled. Then we have the other one. Help me say that word.
Not me. We can spell it. We can have it run down there. I'm not going to bite my tongue.
Yes, but there's no guy, that word, It is also a mental illness that is chemically made up, So those are some of the causes that can make you get into that disease, into depression. So it is. So we need to understand.
As we talk about that, before we go to another cause, this brings. I know next week we'll be talking about how to improve mental health and get out of depression and such things. But sometimes churches, we are very spiritual. And I know I'm a pastor. Yes. I know God is a healer.
Yes.
He is a creator. But sometimes we rush anything mental, we go spiritual. Yes. Yet, maybe some of the solutions that are there are medical, like what you've said about genetic issues.
Yes.
Yeah.
Actually, we don't go spiritual. We go demonic. We say this is a demon. They are the pepper madness. It's just a genetically. It's just that there are some chemicals in your brain that are not just put well. But God has made provision.
Yes.
and with science, and you can actually go to hospital and get that treatment. Let me give an example. This is a movie star. We have, what is his name? Martin, this black guy. Martin Lawrence.
Martin, yes.
Has bipolar. This guy is an Oscar award-winning guy. So he's been able to control it medically.
Wow.
So there's provision for that. And right now there's so much. I actually didn't know there's another hospital for mental health in Nairobi apart from Mathare. There are so many.
Okay.
And every government hospital right now, a level 4 hospital, has a psychiatric unit.
Wow.
So there's
That's
provision.
great.
There's provision for all this. Now, another cause, and which is so unfortunate, actually call it a cause of choice, is drugs and substance abuse. Yeah, because you choose to. Unfortunately. So this person starts to abuse this, but because they didn't know the power or the capability of their mind and chemistry, these drugs takes it off. I mean, just busts everything, and they get into depression because of substance abuse.
Okay.
Or someone uses alcohol too much. By the time they want to come back, it's too far gone. So what do they get into? Depression. Now there's an argument that you can get into depression then abuse substance, or substance abuse can get into depression.
Oh, okay.
So there are those ones who they'll use the substance and abuse it, and it messes up the electronics, the mental mind, and now they get into depression. But there are those ones who will use the substance, get into depression because now they cannot come out of this. It now becomes bigger than them. So that is now how substance abuse affects
has
them.
2 ways to it.
Something I must add there, because I know we want to run into rehab and take people to rehab. This is a statement I always say. Does this man need rehab or want rehab?
Oh, there's a need and a want issue.
Sometimes we look as a family and we say, this our son needs rehab, which is true. But do they want it? It's so here the wanting should be powerful than the need. Because I've seen a lot of Christian homes, especially Christian homes. We rush our children there, we spend 100,000, they come back, they relapse, they actually end up suicidal. Because yes, they actually knew they needed it, but they didn't want it. Because maybe they are not yet there. They are not yet that strong enough to go through that. So before we rush our children and our husbands and our brothers and to rehab, let's first of all answer that question. Do they need it or do they want it?
Wow.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Another one, I think I've gone through all those. The other one, actually the last one, is abuse. So you go through abuse, any sort of abuse, and there are so many types. There's mental abuse, there's physical abuse, there's verbal abuse, there's emotional abuse. All that can throw a man into depression. So you grow up with a stepmom who abused you physically, abused you mentally, abused you psychologically, So you grew up knowing you are so useless. So this man gets saved. You as pastor, you're trying to tell them they are unique. They are a priesthood. They are thinking, okay, those two things don't marry. Where am I? They make a mistake in the office. They are fired. It resonates with what stepmom said because of the abuse they went through. This person is in a marriage and the wife is abusive to them, verbally, telling them every day you are nothing. Look at. Let me give you a small story that made me really laugh. One day there was these stories that people say just to try and show how you can abuse a man. So these people are in the farm. I've come from the farms. I was raised there. So they're digging on a palilia shamba, And then an aeroplane passes, and the woman stands and looks and says, "Those are now men."
Not
the ones who make us dig here, So that just makes, and now what do you say as a man? You just continue digging.
And for a man,
yes.
When you talk about abuse, a man's ego is very sensitive.
Yes.
So it might not even be physical abuse, as you're saying, but when that ego is messed up with verbal and emotional abuse, they can go depression way.
Exactly. Very easy, because you see, words remain. Actions someone can forget. But words, you want to do something, you remember what your wife said. You remember what your mother said. You remember what your dad called you, told you you'll be nothing. And you're for sure you're trying something. And you see, challenges will not care whether you were told that or not. So you fail in this and you actually tell yourself, I think my dad was right. Because it is verbal abuse. So men who go through abuse tend to get into depression very easily. Yes.
Reminds me of a young man. They went for a bash. I know my director is telling me we almost need for time. They went for a bash. He got spiked, a boy.
Wow.
And he got sexually molested.
Wow.
And so he only later came to learn about it. 1 week down the line, he had committed suicide in the mother's bedroom.
Wow.
Abuse, I think abuse, physical, emotional, is something that sometimes we neglect. The words that we speak, the actions we do to people. And my daughter tells me, "Dad, you're strong, you can make it, you can make it." Then I'm thinking, okay, when we were growing up, who was telling us, now I'm old, someone is encouraging me. But I think it's something that we also need as men to, as we bring and do mentorship, to keep encouraging.
Yes.
Because it later, you talked about childhood, exposure, and all these things have a way of playing later in life.
Yes, 100%. Let me tell you, when you grow up, this is what I always say. When you grow up telling a man he's enough, with who he is, you are a man enough. You affirm what we are calling the ego. This boy grows up very well, knowing even if I fail, I failed. It is not me. It is a failure. Even if I try and I don't succeed, it is not because it is me. It is just that I did not succeed. You must affirm that ego in that young man. Now, let me tell you, how powerful would it be if a man affirms another man? But when I affirm my son, it feels like, oh, mommy is just mommy, this is mommy thing. But can you imagine if a man tells him, you're a man, you're enough. With your failure, you are still enough. This person grows knowing, I can conquer this. I'm supposed to be a man. We make men grow up feeling, maybe I wasn't supposed to be a man because I failed at everything. But if we affirm that ego from a young age, now this is my challenge to men who are raising children. Not only, I know we are saying girls are very powerful, blah, blah. Let's affirm. Not spoil. Have tough love, but affirm this boy. And I always tell people, raise up a child that will live with someone else. Sometimes we raise children for ourselves. They can only function around you. You leave that child with someone, unaambiwa kujia mtoto wako, they can't eat this, they can't do, they own the remote, all that. But if you raise up a child who is affirmed, knowing, yes, I can be confident. And confidence doesn't mean I'm a perfect person. Means I can fail, but I can pick up myself again and move on. You raise up someone who is whole. I've not said take them to fancy schools, and I've just said affirm. Even if you have no food in your house, you can affirm your son. And with that affirmation and knowing that confidently I am loved, I am needed, I am not ignored. Yes, the way I am. Depression will be something they'll have to think about. Because there are some men who grow up and depression is the only choice, unfortunately. Yes.
Wow. Men, today it's been tough love. It's been mental. It's about men's health. It's about mental health. And we've had Mavlin in the studio today. And Mavlin is a counselor. She's talked about very many things, and we'll be having her also in the next show as we discuss on how to now get out of depression. And so if you're out there and you need help, as a man, as a lady, Mavlin is also here for you. You can contact her. We'll be putting her contacts there so that you can even reach out to her so that you can talk. Just for you, your family, your child, your relative, or anyone you think needs help. That's why we have Mavlin. Even before we get to the ways to get out of mental issues, which I know counseling and intervention is one of them, through the week, if you need to talk, that's why she is here in Brook. Mavlin, before we go, your last parting shot, as you also tell us again about yourself and what you do, and maybe if you're on Facebook, Twitter, how people can get you.
Okay, my parting shot will be this, that depression is real. Depression is in our houses. Depression, and then another thing, Pastor Kim, depression affects every age. We can have a 1-year-old who is depressed.
Oh no.
Yes. So it is not that when now you get to 40, you are more prone to it. It is stress that has not been dealt with right. So depression is there. Let's not go now making everyone labeling everyone, you have depression, you refuse to shower. No. It's something that can happen to anyone. Yes.
Okay.
And then the last thing is that depression is not a choice. It's not a choice. But entertaining the stress can be a choice.
Okay.
Yes. As we will look at it next time, you'll realize it's not a choice. Now, as I said, I am Marvin Nyokabi Mbogwa, and I am on Facebook. I'm Nyokabi Mbogwa.
Okay.
I think that's the only handle I have. Maybe I can give my number.
Yes.
My number is 0721 429959.
Okay.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you. As we leave this week for the men, if you have a man around you, affirm. Tell them they're doing okay. Tell them they're trying. Reminds me, as I leave, one time my dad came to visit me in high school, very many years ago, before my producers and some people here were born. And he came and told me one thing I've been told by your primary school teacher. One thing about you, Kim, is that you're very determined in everything you do. I was in Form 4. I've never forgotten it in life. So I'm not saying I'm not prone to stress,
yes,
but before I get to some levels, I remember my dad affirmed, I'm one very determined guy. So affirm, you never know what you'll change.
Yes.
Until next time, we'll be seeing more on this next show. My name is Pastor Kim. This is Brook on Ushirikatv. God bless you, and let's meet same place, same time. Ushirikatv, Brook. Thank you.